Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to review this webinar on the precodes for the Keystone exams. The Division of Assessment and Accountability, DAA, in collaboration with the Office of Data Quality, ODQ, are responsible for PIMS trainings, the attribution map, PIMS attribution rules, and all accountability reporting functions. There is contact information at the end of this presentation, so please feel free to contact us. The agenda for today will first cover the timelines and processes for data submission, followed by data collection details. We will then discuss the deduplication rules and reports that are produced as a result of the data submitted by the LEA. Who submits data to PIMS? An entity that teaches a Keystone-related course must assess the student in algebra, biology, and/or literature with an end-of-course Keystone exam. Keystone courses are designated by the LEA. Designating a course as a Keystone course is a local decision and not mandated by PDE. LEA should look at the content standards for a Keystone course before designating the course to ensure that students have the requisite knowledge to demonstrate proficiency in the Keystone exams. Students taking the Keystone exam must be uploaded to PIMS on the student and enrollment templates. Their enrollment must be inclusive of the internal snapshot date to be included in the data sent to the testing vendor. Who should test? States must comply with the federal requirement that all students must test at least once in high school in all 3 Keystone exams. Students can take and test in a Keystone exam anytime from grades 3 through 12. Regardless of when or where the student takes the Keystone exam, the student's scores are not attributed until grade 11 for accountability. LEAs identify the courses that meet the state standards for the Keystone exams, called a trigger course. This is a local decision. If a student takes the Keystone course identified by the LEA, the student must take the subject-specific Keystone exam. The student does not have to complete the course in order to take the Keystone exam if the student scored advanced on the previous year's subject-specific PSSA. If the student is near the end of the Keystone course, the student should take the Keystone exam. Students are required to score proficient or advanced in Algebra 1, biology, and literature by spring of grade 11. Act 158, high school graduation, states that demonstrating proficiency in these 3 Keystone exams will be one of the pathways to meet graduation requirements beginning with the class of 2021-2022. Timelines. It is important to work with your SIS vendor to make sure they can deliver the data required for these Keystone Precode internal snapshots. PDE highly recommends that LEAs use the sandbox as a tool in order to test data against the DQE rules. This is intended to save the LEA time when uploading the data to PIMS production. We strongly encourage LEAs to update data in the sandbox ahead of time, but want to be clear that you must successfully load the data to PIMS production in order for student data to be included when the snapshot is pulled. LEAs who wait until the last day to upload may encounter problems and not be able to meet their deadline. Since there is no extensions for internal snapshots, if LEAs are unable to submit data for the upload, they will have to hand bubble all student booklets. The deadline for submitting data for Keystone internal snapshot collections are located on the elementary secondary data collection calendar listed on the PIMS website. PIMS will shut down temporarily to take the internal snapshot. Any data updated after the snapshot date will not be available in the testing vendor system. Because this is an internal snapshot, the data is frozen in time and extensions cannot be granted. There are 2 templates, student and school enrollment, that need to be updated and uploaded in Collection Window 6 to make sure that the data passes the data quality engine rules. In order to submit the correct data, PIMS administrators must first identify the students who are taking the Keystone exams and upload them for this internal snapshot. These students should be coded with a valid value of Y, N, or O for the specific Keystone testing window. Field 214 is utilized for winter Keystone assessments. Field 215 is utilized for spring Keystone assessments. Field 216 is utilized for summer Keystone assessments. These fields are used to send data to the testing vendor so that LEAs can set up test sessions and receive precode labels. It is important that PIMS administrators verify the data has been successfully uploaded by running the pre-snapshot verification reports. Final data must be uploaded by noon on the deadline on the elementary and secondary data collection calendar listed on the PIMS website. Please note that data cannot be corrected after the internal snapshot deadline. This is the Precode Keystone data flow. It is a complex process, and we will discuss it in smaller sections. It is beneficial to understand this process because it shows how the assessment data that begins with the LEA submitting data to PIMS become precode labels and testing booklets for your LEA. We begin with the LEA submitting data to PIMS using the student and school enrollment templates as you see in step 1. Then in step 2, PIMS takes an internal snapshot of the statewide data set and sends a file to the testing vendor. This file is uploaded into DRC's eDirect system. Once the data is loaded into DRC's eDirect system, this next section describes the actions that occur between the LEA and the testing vendor. Although the PIMS administrator may not be directly involved in this process, it can have disastrous results if the PIMS administrator has not uploaded student data into PIMS correctly. In step 3, someone from your LEA who is involved with assessments, generally the LEA's assessment coordinator, will access DRC's enrollment system to indicate the number of test booklets needed for paper pencil testers and the number of students who are testing online. Students who are taking the paper pencil assessment will need precode labels for their tests. Student information contained on the precode label comes directly from the data uploaded to PIMS. In step 4, students must be set up in test sessions by LEA's assessment coordinator. This does not happen automatically. If student data was loaded inaccurately or was missing from the PIMS internal snapshot, the assessment coordinator must manually input this data one student at a time. In step 5, DRC sends booklets and precode labels based on the information that has been updated by the assessment coordinator in DRC. Next, in step 6, the test is administered and the LEA returns the test materials to DRC. Let's take a look at the data collection details that affect precodes for Keystone exams. All assessment and accountability internal snapshots will be created using the data that was submitted using Collection Window 6. This is open all year and data can be uploaded, updated, and deleted depending on your permissions. Updates to student template and school enrollment data can be made at any time when Collection 6 is open in PIMS production. Updates to the PIMS data after an internal snapshot is taken will only affect future snapshots. This is an overview of the PIMS process for the internal snapshot. The deadline for the precodes for Keystone exams is noon on the internal snapshot date. All internal snapshot dates are listed in the elementary and secondary data collection calendar located on the PIMS website. In the first of 3 blocks, the graphic begins with PDE sending communication to LEAs, reminding them of the internal snapshots. Next, LEAs upload the student and school enrollment templates to PIMS. The LEAs then run the pre-snapshot reports to verify accuracy of the data submitted. Since there is no correction window, this should all occur before the internal snapshot date. After the deadline, PIMS locks down temporarily to take the internal snapshot and generate the data file that will be sent to the testing vendor. Once PIMS reopens, LEAs can run their snapshot reports and accuracy certification statement. As a reminder, once the snapshot is taken, a file is prepared to be sent to the testing vendor. Since this is an internal snapshot, there is no correction window. An internal snapshot freezes data at a point in time, and that's why PDE cannot give extensions. If data is uploaded after the internal snapshot, it will not be included in the file to the testing vendor. Booklets will have to be hand bubbled, and online test sessions will have to be uploaded manually, one student at a time. This is an overview of the details we will be discussing for the Precode Keystone Exams internal snapshot. It begins with the student in the blue circle, which includes the student's 5 matching criteria. The boxes include data about the student, including the student's demographics and school enrollment information. Data from the school enrollment template is used to determine the students who will be included in the internal snapshot. Please pay special attention to the accuracy of entry withdrawal dates, codes, and grades. Please note, students must have an E or R enrollment code prior to the internal snapshot date and not be withdrawn prior to the snapshot to be included in the internal snapshot. It is very important that the 5 matching criteria are correct because that is how students are linked to test results later in the year. This is why there is so much emphasis on getting these fields right. The 5 matching criteria are first name, last name, birth date, PA Secure ID, and grade. Please make sure the student's PA Secure ID is unique to the student. Students with 2 IDs or 2 students sharing 1 ID have to be resolved. Contact the PIMS Application Support Desk for help with PA Secure IDs. If there are any special characters other than numbers, dashes, and apostrophes, it will cause a mismatch in the testing vendor system, and the LEA will have to manually match each student. A word of caution when looking forward to the accountability file. If the student does not appear in your PIMS accountability file, but does appear in the DRC system as having taken the test, the student cannot be matched. This is because all test records must match the PIMS accountability file, and no students can be added to the attribution system. It is extremely important that you update the appropriate Keystone Exams student template Keystone Assessment Code fields, field 214 for winter, 215 for spring, and 216 for summer. Enter Y if student is taking the Keystone Exams and needs a Precode label. Enter N if the student is not taking the Keystone Exams and does not need a Precode label. Enter O for online testers. These students will appear in the Precode file to the testing vendor and can be added to test sessions. The demographics for students are embedded in the Precode labels. If the student cannot be matched using the 5 matching criteria, the student record has to be matched manually to their test record by the LEA. Using student demographics can help LEAs identify unmatched students. These subgroups will be listed in your reports for verification. We use the following fields to help identify full academic year. The date in these fields cannot be a future date. Field 109, state entry date, must be on or before the LEA entry date. Field 99, the LEA entry date, must be on or before the school entry date. Field 98, school entry date, should be on or before the date in the school enrollment template. For more information on these fields, please see PIMS Manual Volume 1. The following fields will be utilized during attribution. Please review them for accuracy. Field 117, District Code of Residence, Appendix N of PIMS Manual Volume 2. Note, if students are designated as 1305, 1306, without known district, use all nines. Field 165, Student Code of Residence, is also utilized during attribution. Please note, in the rare instance that the district of residence does not have a school within the student's grade level, use quad 0. Special case, the IU is responsible for the students in the IU classroom housed outside the IU, even if that classroom is in a district building. The district should only be uploading its own students. The IU classroom will use the labels sent to the IU. If there are no labels, the students' booklets will have to be hand bubbled. The IU classroom students should be bubbled with the AUN of the sending district of residence school. Now let's take a look at the deduplication business rules after the internal snapshot. A student's PASecure ID must be reported to the testing vendor by only one LEA. When more than one LEA reports a student in the internal snapshot, the following rules will be applied to deduplicate the students. If the student is reported at one or more occupational CTC and an LEA of any other type, the record submitted by the other LEA will be used. If the student is reported at one comprehensive CTC and a school district or charter school, the record submitted by the comprehensive CTC will be used. If the student is reported at one IU and one or more other LEA types, the record submitted by the IU will be used. If the student is reported at one charter school and one or more school districts, the record submitted by the charter school will be used. If the student is reported at one approved private school and one or more school districts, career technical centers, or charter schools, the record submitted by the approved private school will be used. If the student is reported at one private residential rehabilitation institution and one or more LEAs, the record submitted by the private residential rehabilitation institution will be used. If the student is reported at multiple school districts, then if field 1 equals field 217, that LEA's record will be used. If both LEAs have field 1 equal to field 217, then the district with the latest LEA entry date will be used. If the student is reported at multiple charter schools, then if field 1 equals field 217, that LEA's record will be used. If both LEAs have field 1 equal to field 217, then the charter school with the latest LEA entry date will be used. Lastly, we would like to discuss the PIMS reports that are produced as a result of the data that you, as the LEA, submit to PIMS. These pre-snapshot reports reflect data loaded into production. They should be run prior to the internal snapshot date. The enrollment pre-snap subgroup comparison report compares all subgroup data from previous year to current year based on the dates selected. Run the Keystone PSSA warnings, duplicate students reported at other LEAs report to identify students reported at multiple LEAs. Keystone PSSA warnings, reporting district and district of residence differ report should be reviewed for accuracy. The Keystone PSSA warnings, students at location quad 9, no labels report will display the students who will not receive labels due to the data submitted. The Pre-SNAP Assessment Subgroup Comparison Keystone Precode Report displays like an ACS based on your precode data prior to the internal snapshot being taken. All pre-snapshot reports should be run and verified prior to the internal snapshot. The following snapshot reports reflect data that was included in the internal snapshot. The Enrollment Snapshot Subgroup Comparison Report compares all subgroup data from previous year to current year based on the dates selected. The Duplicate Students Reported detail with other LEA report will display students who were reported by multiple LEAs. This report can assist with troubleshooting students who may have been removed by the deduplication process. The LEA will have to run, verify, and submit the Keystone Assessment Subgroup ACS for precodes. Please be sure to select the correct internal snapshot date when running this ACS. Please reference the elementary secondary data collection calendar for prior year and current year dates to utilize when running pre-snap or snapshot reports. There are a few resources we would like to point out to you. On PAR's webpage of the PDE website, you can find information on Chapter 4, Academic Standards, PA's ESEA Flexibility Waiver, the Attribution Map, and trainings. There is a link to the Future Ready PA Index website, which contains LEA data that PDE uses to report federal accountability. Lastly, the PIMS webpage is listed. The PIMS calendar, assessment how-to guide, and the PIMS manuals can be downloaded from this website. A list of contacts are provided if you have questions or need clarification. The Division of Assessment and Accountability can be reached at ra-pas@pa.gov. Please call 800-661-2423 to get assistance from the PIMS Application Support Desk. Lastly, the Office of Data Quality can be emailed at ra-ddqdatacollection@pa.gov. Thank you for reviewing this webinar for Keystone Exam Precodes.